Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Liana. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Eden Minerals Norrsken foundation in the shade Jorunn. I had a friend in the US send me a little sample of this. Before I get into the application of this foundation, I thought I would just go over a few things. This foundation costs $28 USD and it comes in 18 shades. This is what the shade spectrum looks like from the Eden Minerals website. So it is spread fairly evenly throughout the different shades. I did watch a video from a girl named Lavette. She, I believe, lives in Sweden and she's of a deeper complexion. It was actually really hard to find reviews of this foundation from somebody who has deeper skin. And I'm not sure if that's just because nobody's trying it or if people are trying it but they're just not on YouTube, you know. And she pointed out quite helpfully that the deeper shades are not very good in terms of undertone. They are not labeled correctly. So if you're looking to try this and you do have deeper skin than I do, just be aware of that. She said it probably would have helped to hire somebody with deeper skin to help them in terms of matching undertones and testing it out, which that's kind of what Too Faced has been doing with Jackie Aina, and she mentioned that as well. So hopefully going forward they will do that. So the description on their website is that this is an illuminating foundation. It's purified mineral ingredients that are blended in pure water for a luminous look. So obviously this is a water-based foundation. It has concentrated lingonberry oil to keep it Scandinavian. I'm guessing lingonberry is Scandinavian. And it keeps it hydrated and radiant. Use the Eden Minerals liquid foundation brush for best result. I don't have that. I'll show you a photo of what that looks like here. Again, I saw this brush in Lavette's video and I don't know how that would be great for application of this foundation, but I haven't tried it, so I don't know. This is a cruelty-free and vegan foundation, and it follows strict guidelines of the Swedish Pharmacy Authority. So I'll get into the application and I'll kind of tell you my experiences with it because I've tried it 2 or 3 times now with different methods. I'm going to start with this side of my face. Yeah, my cheeks are kind of pink right now. Go figure. So it is a fairly thin consistency. I do have some breakouts. Very thin consistency. This is probably the most sheer coverage foundation I've tried on this channel so far. This is fragrance free, but it does smell a little bit like something, probably the lingonberry, although I've never smelled lingonberry, so I can't say for sure that's what it smells like. And it's definitely a very pale neutral, like an actual neutral, not a warm yellow neutral, which a lot of companies seem to think is neutral. Like every company has a different definition of neutral. Whereas I think that this actually is. It's not super yellow. It's not super pink. It is neutral. Okay, so I'm going to start with the sponge, which is definitely my preferred method of application for this foundation. So I find that this is probably my exact undertone. I can't really see the color on my skin after I blend this out, to be honest. Whereas I'm starting to find that things like the Kat Von D Light 41 and the Bisutang are a little bit too pink for me, I think. They're definitely very suitably pale, but I think they are just a little bit too much on the pink side for me. I know a lot of people probably think that I am very pink, but I'm really not. And this is what I was wearing in my Get Ready With Me where for some reason the white balance, the exposure was really high and my skin looked super reflective, and I actually don't know if it was because of this foundation or not, because the day that I was filming was quite dark. There was no reason for my skin to look that bright. So I don't know if maybe this has a little bit of a reflect to it or not. So you can definitely see that all of my red spots are still there, and even a little bit of the redness in my cheek here is still there. So it's definitely a very light coverage. Let's move over to the brush side. I definitely did not like this with the brush as much, just because I do find that it goes on quite streaky, and that I find that does happen with the thinner formulas. So it's odd to me that they would recommend this with a brush. Now the other thing is, I find that this does, on me at least, accentuate any issues I have with pores. I have not necessarily blackheads now. I have sebaceous filaments, which look very similar to blackheads. And I found that this really stuck down onto those and made them very apparent. So I'm thinking if you have a similar issue to me in terms of that, you might have problems. And same with enlarged pores, which I do have a little bit in here. And so I thought one day I would try this with a primer, and I asked what kind of primer would this work best with. I asked that in the Fear NYX Facebook group because a lot of people on there use this foundation, and they said, well, it's water-based, so try a water-based primer. I don't have one, so I went in search of one, and the only one I could find at the drugstore was an illuminating primer, which I bought, but this is already a very dewy foundation, so I actually ended up trying it with a pore filling primer. I tried it with the Wet n Wild Photo Focus primer, which is technically silicone based, but it's very, very liquidy and lotion like. It doesn't feel slippery like a silicone based primer. That actually did help. I know you're not supposed to mix silicone and water based things, but I did find that that helped any problem areas that I had. So I'm just throwing that out there if you're having similar issues with this foundation. You might want to consider trying that. And the other thing is, I really don't like the way that this looks under my eyes. If you'll recall, if you watched my Get Ready With Me, I made a comment that my under eyes looked very old that day. And I had brought this up under my eyes before putting on my concealer. And that's the only thing I can think of, is that it was that. Normally I don't have an issue of looking really wrinkly under my eyes. So I think that this, again, probably accentuated lines and texture under there, because this is kind of, to me, this has a very dewy, almost oily finish on my skin, which I always leave a title card at the beginning in case I forget to mention that I have normal skin. So this is definitely for dry skin, not oily combo skin. Normal skin is probably the most you could get away with this. So anyway, there it is blended. I think the brush probably does give it a bit more coverage, either that or I added a little bit more, because you can definitely see more on this side, although obviously I didn't have quite as much stuff to cover on this side. But there you have it. I'm going to zoom in so you can see better. So this is the sponge side here. And the brush side here. This is not a transfer-proof foundation. If you're touching your face, you will feel it and it will rub off throughout the day. And again, as you can see right now, it's very, very dewy. If you're oily, I think you'll have a lot of difficulty with this. So that's the way it's looking right now. It's about 11:15 right now. I have to head out in a little bit, and I'll be out for quite a few hours. So I'll be checking in at the end of the day to show you how this looks. And I'll see you then. Haha, just kidding, I forgot swatches. So this is the Eden Minerals Norrsken foundation in Jorunn. This is Kat Von D Lock-it foundation in L41. This is the Bisutang Aqua Luster BB cream in 21. And this is the NYX Total Control foundation in Pale. So these are actually all of the lightest foundations that I currently own. Well, some of them are samples, but you know what I mean. So this has now been on for the standard 8 hours. I've been at the pain clinic 3 days in a row now, so I'm very tired and worn out. I haven't necessarily had a strenuous 3 days in terms of physical exertion. I haven't been running around or anything, but I've been very fatigued. And I have been out for quite a while today. And this is not looking great. I'm going to zoom in the camera so you can look at what I'm seeing. I don't even know what is happening up here. It almost looks like it's become unblended again. Like I almost look like I have unblended streaks of foundation up here, which is odd. We come down to here. I'm not liking what I'm seeing here. This is looking a lot worse than it was when I tried it with primer. I will insert a photo in a moment. How about here? We'll insert a photo right here so you can kind of see a side-by-side comparison. This is looking worse today than it was then. Like it's just really, it's very much accentuating my lines around my mouth right now. It's creased on me on this side here, which hopefully is picking up on camera, which again, that using primer helps with that a bit. Which is odd that the silicone primer would help with that since it's not supposed to go with the water-based foundation. My upper lip is looking a little strange. I think it's, I don't know if it's separating there. My nose doesn't look too bad. The chin doesn't look that bad. And the perimeter, the outer perimeter of the face looks fine. So zoom back out. Yeah, from a distance you probably can't even see any of these things. I was never able to fully cover this spot over here, although I tried to build up. It wouldn't build up upon itself, so that is still very much there. So, I mean, how I feel about this foundation, I think it's a great shade. I'm not convinced on the formula. I think you have to play a lot with it in order to get it to work, or at least I do. And if I'm a normal skin type having to put in this much effort for a foundation, then I'm wondering how much effort other people with oily skin, combo skin, dry skin, well, maybe dry skin you wouldn't have to, because as I said, this is a very oily foundation. So maybe that's the skin type that this is best for. I don't think I like it that much, which is odd considering how much people seem to like it. And obviously the shade spectrum needs a bit of work. Like it's good that they have as many shades as they do right now, but they're not correct in their undertones all the way through, and they still have room to expand upon that, so I'm hoping that, as Lavette said, they bring in some new faces to help them out with that. Anyways, I'm very tired and I'm going to let you go for now, and I'll probably do some reviews on some of the cheaper foundation samples that I got. So I will see you in the next foundation review, probably next month. Bye guys!